Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we celebrate our unique expression of perfection because God didn't make duplicates. In the moment you measure yourself against the world, you hand your power away. I'm Brooke Taylor, and today we're going to talk about how to truly be a high value woman. We are going to dive right on in. So, chapter one, Divine Feminine Essence. High value women are in their divine feminine essence. Many women do not understand the difference between being a feminine presenting woman and a woman who is truly in her divine feminine essence. The majority of women today are feminine presenting, but operating from a masculine essence. We've all been there. I won't go too deep into this because I actually created a full video on how to step into your divine feminine essence. And I highly recommend you watch that for a deeper understanding. But here is what you need to understand. Femininity refers to outward traits, behaviors, and characteristics typically associated with women. Things like nails, dressing up, makeup, and your appearance. However, the divine feminine essence goes far beyond societal constructs. It taps into a deeper spiritual understanding of what it truly means to be feminine. It is the embodiment of feminine energy in its purest and most sacred form, rooted in intuition, creativity, softness, wisdom, and inner knowing. The divine feminine essence is a powerful force. It connects a woman to her spiritual nature and her inner strength. It allows her to fully embrace her authenticity and step into her highest potential. So, in simple terms, femininity is how you present yourself outwardly according to societal standards, like your hair, nails, and your makeup, and your appearance. But the divine feminine essence is who you are at your core. It is a deeper spiritual energy that transcends culture, expectations, and performance, and it empowers you on a soulful level. So ask yourself honestly, are you in your divine feminine essence? And if the answer is no, then that is where the work begins because this is something you build daily through your energy, your awareness, and your everyday interactions. And most of the time, you can always feel the difference. There is a clear, undeniable energy difference between a woman who is in her divine feminine essence and a woman who is not. Chapter 2. What is a high value woman? A woman is inherently vulnerable, not as a weakness, but because of the unique and beautiful aspects of her biology and her position in life. A woman has monthly cycles, and her biological makeup naturally exposes her to vulnerability in ways that are simply a part of being a woman. Her feminine essence, powerful in its ability to bring forth life, places her in a position where she requires proper covering, protection, and support to fully thrive. A woman should have covering not because she is weak, but because of her purpose and everything she embodies. It is not that a woman cannot provide or protect herself. It is about not placing herself in unnecessary vulnerability. A high value woman is one who has mastered herself, her identity, her emotions, her standards, and her sense of worth, and by her ability to submit to a man of vision. Because she is whole within herself and not seeking external validation, she intentionally chooses to submit to a man of vision from a place of discernment and alignment. So, submission at its highest level is not weakness. It is selective alignment after self mastery. A high value woman is not defined by her degrees, her independence, or her ability to get pregnant. Her true value is determined by how well she has mastered the art of submission to vision, which requires her to be fully in her divine feminine energy. So, submission at its highest level is not weakness, regardless of what society and social media wants to tell us. It is actually selective alignment. The concept of submission can feel unsettling for those who do not fully recognize their own worth. But a woman who truly understands and values herself knows that submission is her superpower. By aligning herself with a man who has a clear vision, she not only protects her essence, but also contributes to building a legacy and creating wealth for future generations. Let's dive into chapter 3. What is submission to vision? Submission is exemplified through respect, honor, and alignment with your husband's perspective, expressed through willing cooperation rather than force. It means humbly sharing your opinion while still honoring his role as a leader. And it means not invalidating or disrespecting him, especially in front of others. It is about trusting his decisions while feeling empowered in your own voice, knowing that both of you are working toward a shared vision for your life and your family. Submission strengthens the emotional bond between a wife and her husband. A woman of value carries a very deep respect and reverence for the masculine, understanding the role it plays in protection, provision, and leadership. I recognize that this concept may feel unfamiliar or even challenging for some women, especially those who have experienced pain or unresolved trauma connected to masculine figures. However, at the core of every woman is a natural desire to feel provided for, protected, and supported in all that she is. This desire is not weakness, it is deeply rooted in how women were designed. Our bodies have the extraordinary ability to conceive, carry, and nurture life. And we were not intended to carry the full weight of protecting and providing for that life alone. The reason women are designed to submit to men of vision is because of the inherent value within them. A woman who truly understands submission is a woman who understands her worth. Because when you recognize your intrinsic value, you also recognize the importance of being protected, provided for, and led with intention. A very important concept that I want us to understand as ladies is that it is very hard and almost impossible to operate in wholeness outside of the interdependence that it requires to operate with the opposite sex. At our core, we naturally want to be in connection with others. That is male and female. So, with that being said, a part of being a high value woman is knowing how to integrate your experiences, good or bad, into your wholeness. So, regardless of what happens with different experiences or the different guys you may date, a part of being a high value woman is understanding how to integrate those experiences into your wholeness, looking at your life from a place of wholeness rather than lack. Chapter 4. Vision is provision and protection. A lot of women are confused about where their careers and salary fit, especially when it comes to vetting men. When a woman leads with her accomplishments, such as her careers, her diplomas, all the external accomplishments, instead of her intangible qualities, the things that people can't see, but it took a lot of work to develop these things, such as your emotional intelligence, or your ability to communicate, or your ability to find a man of vision and align with a man of vision. These qualities are intangible, but they are very important. Not that you would say these things out loud, but it is essentially what should be leading you, not your external accomplishments. Because, like I said before, you as a woman have inherent qualities that naturally attracts the masculine. So, when a woman leads with her accomplishments instead of her capacity to align with a man of vision, she often attracts the type of man she does not truly desire. The nature of a woman, especially one aligned with her purpose, is hypergamy, rooted in her unique ability to bring life into the world, which naturally draws her towards a man who is elevated, structured, and leading with direction. Because of this, it is important for women to understand what their careers, salary, and degrees truly translate into. A woman's vision and aspirations provide for her and create self sufficiency, which is powerful. And she absolutely has the choice to provide and protect herself if she desires. However, even when a woman is clear about her own goals, the highest level of provision and protection comes through alignment with a man of vision. A high value woman understands that her vision is not lost, but expanded within her husband's vision. In fact, the two actually become one, strengthening both of their paths and reinforcing a shared direction. If a woman makes her own pursuits, dreams, and aspirations the center of her life, then the role of a man actually becomes unnecessary because that space is already filled. And if that is the path she chooses, then her pursuits must also be the source of her protection and her provision. But a woman of value understands that her dreams are not diminished in alignment. They are actually protected, elevated, and empowered within the right man's vision. Submission is actually not denial, it is actually empowerment. It does not take away from who you are, it confirms and strengthens it. And if more women understood that everything they are is meant to align with everything he is, they would choose differently. Because when two people are not operating under a shared vision, it creates division. And that division is often why relationships and marriages fail. Because two independent people are traveling on their same paths together, and eventually those paths are going to separate. So, with that being said, it is so important to make sure that everyone is aligned within the same vision. Because if they're not, that leads to what? Division. Let's dive into chapter 5. High value women attract visionary men. She does not struggle to attract the men she desires. Instead, her challenge is choosing the right man from an abundance of visionary options. This is super important because many career oriented or successful women often lead with the belief that a man must have what she has or more, without realizing that they are unconsciously leading with their material possessions and external accomplishments, which attracts the very man that she does not want, the man who is comfortable letting her take the lead. Vision is the blueprint of a man, and vision requires action. Without it, it is simply a dream. So when a woman leads with her accomplishments instead of her discernment, there is an underlying self defeating pattern taking place. A truly visionary man embodies his vision beyond possessions through character, integrity, discipline, dedication, determination, and a commitment to creating space for his legacy. A high earning man without discipline is not a high value man. And a high earning woman disconnected from her divine feminine essence is not a high value woman. Any woman disconnected from her divine feminine essence is not a high value woman. Oftentimes, high achieving women struggle to attract men of vision because they are unintentionally attracting based on a material focused internal compass that needs recalibration. It is important to intentionally examine your preferences to ensure they align with your deeper aspirations. Simply put, a woman of value is reflected in her ability to attract a man of value, and that connection is sustained through her ability to submit, support, and expand the vision of the man she attracts. If you are questioning the mindset and quality of the men you are attracting, it is often a reflection of where you currently are, because a high value woman attracts high value men. And if you are not attracting the men you desire, it may be time to look within. Chapter 6, A Sacred Temple. Sweet child, many men make declarations of love when they want to make love, but rare is the man whose love remains true when the consequences of lovemaking are brought to his attention. This quote from Bridgerton captures something so powerful about the vetting process because the way it is portrayed reflects a standard that protects women preserves their innocence, and requires a man to demonstrate his ability to truly care for and lead a woman before gaining access to her. I deeply admire this approach, and although society has moved far from it with the rise of platforms where sexuality is actually commodified and easily accessible, I do believe women have the power to return to their higher selves. I deeply admire this approach, and although society has moved far away from it with the rise of platforms where sexuality is commodified and easily accessible, I do believe women have the power to return to their highest, most aligned selves and set elevated standards again. The current dating culture exists as it does largely because the inherent value of a woman and her divine feminine essence has been diluted, especially the value of her ability to create life, inspire, and elevate those around her. A high value woman understands the sacredness of her body and treats herself as a temple, meaning she does not engage in casual access or allow intimacy without intentional vetting of a man's character, vision, and commitment. She does not see her body as something to be freely accessed, but as something deeply valuable that requires alignment, intention, and long term commitment. A woman of value recognizes that her womb carries life and legacy. And because of that, she honors it with discernment, understanding that true union requires dedication, responsibility, and a shared vision for the future. I also understand that many women are not operating from this mindset, often simply because they have not been taught or shown another way. And that is completely okay because everyone is on their own journey. But I do believe that returning to this level of awareness and intention creates a more empowered dynamic for both men and women moving forward.